right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're at the Goffstown School Board meeting. I call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. If you could rise and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Point of order, Mrs. Traypass.
Yep.
Did we lose Shane?
He's going to be right back.
He'll be right back.
But he was here when we started.
He was here.
Why don't we just wait for him for a minute?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't mind if we chit-chat for a minute.
Yes, we're on TV.
There he is.
He's back. All right. So, public comment. There is none tonight. So tonight is to interview candidates to fill Janelle's last year of her 3-year term. So we have 4 candidates tonight. They're out in the hall. We'll call one in at a time. You should have questions in your packet. I'll ask questions, but feel free to add questions as you see fit. And then because we are down 2 board members tonight, we are not going to deliberate tonight in non-public. We will do that April 4th after the school board meeting. We'll go into non-public talk and appoint April 4th.
No, 3 board members tonight. We're down.
Yep.
Oh, we only have 3?
We're down 3 because we only have 5
Yes,
here.
we're down 3, yes.
I heard
but we
down
don't
2.
have Ellen or Jenny here to talk about the candidates tonight. So that's why
Or,
Terry is coming.
Okay.
oh, but he's not here.
Yes, but he'll be here any minute.
Got it.
So,
That
okay.
was the missing link.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so.
I forgot about the plaque,
What?
the name plaque.
All right, are you good? All right, because
That's
we're
not for
going
me
to
to
start.
decide.
All right, so the first candidate tonight is Naomi Major. So do you want to?
Yep, ready for?
Bring her in. Is everybody ready? Does anybody have any questions before we start? Okay. Find time to ask after. That's Terry. Hi, Terry.
Blaze is amazingly accurate.
Your prediction has come true.
I told you. He called.
She said you would arrive.
Yep. And just so you guys know, I'm going to let each candidate know that we're not going to be making a decision tonight, because typically we do, but we should let them know. So Terry, we're going to start with Naomi. You have questions, and if you want to add questions, feel free to.
Heather, do you want us to ask the questions, or are you going to be fielding all of them that are on the sheet?
So Naomi, you can sit there
I
with
can
the
ask.
microphone
It's
and
up to
I'm
you.
fine, I just didn't know what you were thinking.
Yeah, I can ask, and then if you have more you want to ask,
Okay.
that's fine. Does it matter which mic? They're both
No,
hot.
they should both be,
All right. Hi. Welcome, Naomi. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Heather, how are you?
I'm good. So we're going to ask you a bunch of questions.
Sure.
But I do want to let you know, since we are down 2 board members tonight, we're not going to deliberate and make a decision until April 4th. So that gives everybody a chance. They'll watch your interview on GTV. They have your resume, and they have the same questions that we have, so they'll know your answers. And then April 4th, after our school board meeting, we'll go into non-public and then let you know the next day. I'm
Okay.
sure Superintendent Bulkey will be making phone calls.
Sounds
All right.
good. Yes.
All right, so the first question is, why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I think so.
That's more for the
As long as you
TV.
keep
That's the
talking
microphone's
loud.
Oh, it's for the TV. You guys can hear me?
There's no There is no amplification system
here.
in the room.
Okay,
That is only for
okay.
GTV.
So you gotta
Thank
use your mom
Thanks,
voice
okay.
so we can hear.
Okay, you know I've got that.
Yep.
Thank you for the question. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to interview tonight. So some of you may know I just finished a campaign for school board here in town. That was an invigorating, exciting experience. It was a learning experience for me as well. I did not win this time around, but I was able to garnish a lot of support and a substantial amount of votes. And it was interesting because at the end I found myself more energized than ever to be a member of the school board and to continue on the path of advocacy that I've been on. So as a mother of 4 kiddos, and I've got 2 currently in the Goffstown district, I've really been able to, I can appreciate the diverse needs of children. I have a freshman who's an honor roll student. She's a varsity starter for the volleyball team here, and we're so proud of her work and her ethic. But our success story, our real success story that we're proud of also in our home is my son. So he's 16 years old. He has a diagnosis of what I refer to as high-functioning cerebral palsy and a myriad of other colorful descriptives. The road for him to help him to be successful has been challenging. There has been a lot of trial and error, but all throughout the process, I have been met by incredible members of the staff in this district that were all working with me to support him. I can remember back in preschool, at Glen Lake School, we were having an IEP meeting, and after the meeting, we were walking out, and I was followed by some beloved and senior OT and speech therapists, and they said, hey, Naomi, we're not the doctors here, but we think your son might have a neurological component here, and we just wanted to offer our 2 cents, being that we're old kids from the block here. And I can't tell you what a profound difference that made for me at that moment. And that is just one example of how I've been guided all along the way. And now my son is incredibly successful. He turns to me often and says, Mom, I'm in the right setting now. I can learn, Mom. I'm finally successful. So I think that my journey, even though it's very unique, it's relatable. There's a lot of families that come to, the school setting, no matter where they are, whether they're transfers or they're born and raised, whatever it might be, that might have met less than, your typical, child situation. And they come with apprehensions, they come with fears, they're concerned. And I can relate to that. I can come alongside of them in that. But I'm also here to say that we were able to achieve incredible success for my son. So I think my story and other stories like that are the ones that need to be elevated. So my passion when it comes to being a member of the school board is I would love to improve communications. I think about what we can do to strengthen and further collaborate our communication with the schools, with the administrators. I think about, the PTA members and folks that are doing good work there, town members, community leaders, different ways that we can continue to open up the lines of communication, disseminating information, and elevating stories of success that need to be heard by the community. I also think about opening and strengthening channels of communication to the state legislator, elevating stories from Goffstown so that they can hear what matters to us here, and they're going to be able to better advocate for us in their decision-making process, and so that's why I'm here today.
Thank you. And why do you think you would be a good fit for the board? I think you kind of answered some of that.
So first and foremost, because of my advocacy, I have a fundamental belief that successful outcomes are not only possible for every child, but they're necessary. I also have developed, and this is something I've developed on the way, the fundamental belief that most people that are involved in that process, they too want to have a great outcome for your kids. So I think that's a perspective that really needs to be known. I also, I mentioned I'm a scientist there in my resume. Critical thinking, which goes hand in hand with flexible thinking. I know it's best to start and approach anything by listening, observing. Rarely, it's a one-size-fit-all. Usually there's many factors that go into any given solution, and that's why I'm able to work with anybody. Because I know that collectively we can come together and really get some great results. And then even as a business owner, for 9 years now, I'm in a leadership role with my business. And, oh my gosh, there's so much listening skills I've had to develop through that. But the power of collaboration is incredible. And also in that, I've learned what it means to have consistent, clear messaging. When you have consistent, clear messaging, you can drive really great results, and it creates this community. And as we know, we're better together, and so that's where I think my strengths would shine.
Great, thank you. And what skills and experiences do you bring to the board?
So I guess a little redundant there, but some of the things that I just went over,
Right.
As far as skills, and I think being an advocate for my child cannot be overstated. I have learned to work effectively while sourcing resources from all sorts of entities. I mean, I can think about, my advocacy has brought me to the halls up in Concord before, overturning rulings that were difficult and challenging for us, and able to, garnish the support that I needed to get a great outcome for him. And so I'd love to keep working on making that accessible for everybody. And so those years of experience that I have, I know will really serve me on the board.
Perfect, thank you. What personal attributes make a school board member successful?
I think first and foremost, without a doubt, is the ability to listen and to work with others. First and foremost, the members of the school board, and then you of course you have your teachers and the students, and of course parents. I think listening is so important. You can find out so much of what you need to do and the direction based off that alone. So that would be the first. The next is being able to collaborate, working with mutual respect. Operating from a standpoint that everybody at this board, I know everybody has different experiences and likely different perspectives, but to be able to come to the table with mutual respect for one another and acknowledging that, hey, we're all here to achieve some great outcomes, those are the ones that stand out to me the most.
Great, thank you. And what do you think will be the biggest challenges the board will face this year?
That was a good question. I've bounced that around a little bit in my mind. First and foremost, I know we have these grants on their way, and I know that that's something that could potentially be a challenge for the school board when it comes to the budget at some point. I think that, communication, again, strengthening communication and showing these really positive outcomes is going to only strengthen the school, the system, and the district and support it. And then, of course, it's because I'm a member of the town, you always hear the town people talk about taxes and issues around that. So I think continuing to look for ways to be fiscally responsible but deliver results. And I must say, I feel like the board does a very good job of that.
Thank you. And now this one might be hard to answer, but do you plan to run for the board in March?
I'm already making plans.
Okay. And do you have sufficient time and energy to positively contribute to the Goffstown School Board?
Time and energy are by far our most valuable asset, that is for sure. What I've found, though, is when I'm putting my focus on things that I'm passionate about, it energizes me. That energy meets me on the road. So I'm confident that will be there for me. I'm fortunate I've got a supportive husband, I've got a flexible work schedule, so I think I can fulfill the commitment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have
I have one.
questions? Go ahead, Dan.
You kind of alluded to it in one of your answers previously, but the question is, do you believe our budget that we've been passing over the years is appropriate?
I think that when I see what you guys are prioritizing, particularly as a mother of a special needs child, I think that you guys are knocking it out of the park. So in general, yes, appropriate.
As a follow-up,
Yeah, go ahead.
is there anything in there that you would advocate for change in how we do the budget, moving something around, either increasing something or decreasing something or just adding to it?
In line with my focus of communication, I would say just to continue with transparency. I think that, the messaging, the fact that, even though some may say our tax burden is getting up there, the fact that our teachers are still, particularly at the master's level, are not paid quite to the level that they are in other districts, that's something that I think would be significant for the townspeople to really know and get their head around, and they might be more amicable when it comes to voting time. So it would be mostly around communication and messaging.
And just, let me see, the contract that the taxpayers just passed is a 4-year one for the teachers?
4-year.
Right.
Yeah, that'll come around in another 4 years.
Right.
But thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Jared?
Just going off the last question that Heather had asked, we talked about sufficient time. During COVID, I think that we all learned it was a significant amount of time. How much time do you think a school board member actually puts in a month?
Are we talking about budget season, or?
That's like,
On a regular basis,
Right.
what would be your expectation going into the job if you were selected?
I would say, somewhere around the 15-hour a mark ballpark, 15 hours a month ballpark. Not that would be my guess. I've juggled full-time jobs and part-time jobs, and I am used to kind of finding niches in your life to put towards, what you prioritize. I've been able to do that successfully. I now got rid of one of those occupations, so I just have the other now at this point. So I'm confident I could do the same with this.
thank you, Jared. Anyone else? Retta?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a broader question. From your perspective, what is the role of public education and what is the value that it brings?
I think in general, it's to provide education that's inclusive and accessible to all, and, in an environment that supports children, understanding that they come with diverse experiences and backgrounds, to help them to learn in a way that's meaningful for them, to ultimately get to a point where they get that high school diploma on hand and they're set in a great trajectory for whatever they might do as a secondary form of education or occupation.
You good? Anyone else? Questions for Naomi? Do you have any questions for us?
It was similar to a question you had asked me. I guess I would want to know, in general, what is a challenge that's being on the school board? What do you find most challenging?
Does anybody want to answer that?
Or one of the
Or
challenges?
I can say one thing that we do well together, but a challenge, not quite a challenge, but it is trying to come to a point of consensus. We all have different opinions. I, for one, love to hear other opinions because I want to hear what people are thinking, and I want to come to a point where we can all live with the answer. If there's anything really contentious and everybody walks away a little bit unhappy, but mostly happy that we're doing the right thing, we've gotten to a place where we work well together. If we leave totally apart, we haven't quite done something right. So I think the challenge, I strive every meeting to try to listen. I'll do my active listening, Jared, but you do it better than we do, I think. So that we can find and come to that consensus place. That would be a challenge. So I guess maybe a follow-up was, how do you do that? You had mentioned that you like to listen, you like to communicate. Do you feel you would be a good
Collaborator?
That would be a good answer, thank you.
Yes. So reflecting on that, so in my business, there's a lot of collaboration, and sometimes collaboration looks like we give a go with someone's particular idea or concept in a particular time, and that seems like the best one at the time, and that might be me giving and another time it might be another way. So in other words, it's not necessarily always 50-50. That's what I have found. But there's overall this beautiful ebb and flow that can happen, and I think it's appropriate because we bring different skills to the table. And there will be time that someone might have a clear, more concise view or straighter trajectory for a positive solution or outcome that we should give heedance to, even though that might not have been my initial result. I can get there with you, and there might be other times that might go the other way.
Thank you.
You good? Did anybody else want to? Go ahead.
I'll just add that the past 2 years, the biggest challenge is pretty obvious. It was dealing with a situation that none of us were prepared for.
Right.
And we had to become prepared very quickly. And there were a lot of differing opinions, not only on this board, but outside the board and the community, and how do we as a board make the right decision. I think we did a great job, and I would say of all the time I've been on board, that was probably the top of the list, but every once in a while those kinds of things happen, and you just have to be ready as a board to be able to handle them. So that will continue to be a challenge, but hopefully far in between.
Right, no more pandemics for a while.
I can understand that. I imagine even the physical and mental fatigue alone was challenging at that time, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Does anybody else want to add to what we've already answered? You're good? Everybody's good? All right.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
so-
you, everybody.
Thank
you.
you, Naomi. So you can go home,
Yeah.
and then we'll let you know April 5th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so the next one, Brian is Caroline.
If I could just suggest, Dan, can you ask that question of all of the candidates?
Yes,
about-
I wrote them all.
Yeah.
I plan on
Okay.
The one
every
you
single
just
candidate
asked.
having the same, yeah.
Any of the open mics at the end of the table? Sure. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Caroline. How are you?
Good, thank
Welcome.
you. Thanks.
So we have a series of questions we're going to ask, and then let anybody ask questions, and you can ask us at the end. Since we're down 2 board members tonight, we're not going to be deliberating after. We'll wait until our next school board meeting, which is April 4th.
Sure.
So afterwards, we'll deliberate in non-public, and you'll get a call the next day.
Okay,
All right, so I just wanted to let you know that.
great.
So why are you interested in serving on the school board?
So I'm interested in serving on the school board. Mainly, I'm very passionate about children in general and just what they, deserve across the board. Oh, sure, yep. So I'm just very passionate about children having a positive childhood experience, which, is not just in schools, but school is a huge part of that. I think that children spend a lot of time in schools. Teachers are a very important role for children. Everything that the school is going to provide is extremely important to them. So that is everything from policies, the people in the building, the curriculum, the families who participate in schools, and just what you have to offer. I have 2 children who are going to be starting in the Goffstown School District. One will start next year, this coming fall, and then another a year later. So not just for them, but for everybody in Goffstown. I just want to participate in ensuring that the experience across the board is a good one and remains that way.
Great, thank you. And why do you think you would be a good fit for the board?
So I've really dedicated my professional career so far for the past almost 15 years to child welfare, child protection. But even before that, my focus has always been, what children need, and my college studies were child-focused, child-directed, and from there, everything has really been about them. So I think that everything that I have experienced, I can bring to the table here. I have had experience, with the state, working on policies, abiding by statute, reading statute, working with a legal team to apply statute, drafting policy, changing policy, giving attention to just simple words that would change something drastically, and the need to do some of that, and then to constantly focus on having a solution, to whatever is going on, and not just focusing on the problem at hand, but always having outcome-driven approach to things and having a positive outlook to that.
And this kind of goes with this last question. What skills and experiences do you bring to the board? I mean, you talked a little bit about your job and stuff. Is there anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I just think that, I've worked with families for a really long time, since, coming out of school, ending my bachelor's. I started 1 year of grad school before entering the field full-time, and then finished grad school while being employed full-time. So I think that that's been a majority of my experience, is working directly with families, and certainly families who were in need of things that not every family experiences. So certainly seeing some people at their worst, helping them connect to appropriate resources, listening to them about challenges that they are experiencing, whether it's just within their household. Some of it would involve with medical professionals, some clinical, but then also with school districts. So I've had a lot of experience with various school districts throughout the state, mainly in southern New Hampshire. So attending school meetings, being part of IEP meetings, reentry meetings, and meetings with families to talk about things that are going on in the school for children, and talking about what's going on at home and how that's impacting their school day, and then coming up with solutions of how to improve that for everybody. So on top of that, I've built a lot of relationships with community members, hospitals, law enforcement, child advocacy centers, therapists, school districts throughout the state, as a child protective service worker, and then as a supervisor with the Division for Children, Youth, and Families for a number of years. Just recently, I started a new position at the state office, still with DCYF, but now working with providers throughout the state to meet children's needs and to meet families' needs. So that is one of the biggest things that I think has contributed to my experience thus far, and has made me a pretty well-rounded person for this type of position.
Okay. And what personal attributes make a school board member successful?
I think being open-minded, listening to a variety of perspectives, the facts that are brought to the table, and then just having knowledge of what is available to you to help make decisions. So whether it is, school policy, whether it is statutes that exist within the state of New Hampshire that you need to access or relate something to in order to make a decision. But gaining information from as many sources as possible to try and help educate you. And I think coming to that with an open mind, and not just with a preconceived notion of how you're going to, vote towards something, but just being open-minded from the get-go.
Right, okay. And what do you think will be the biggest challenge the board will face this year?
I'm not entirely sure. I think that things that, school boards face a lot of times and are always up for discussion are budgets. And certainly the word is escaping me, the contract is something that, has been a hot topic for individuals, and I think will be that way, throughout time, because things change constantly. And we've seen that, over time, but more significantly during the pandemic, with people and what they are highlighting in their own lives as far as what is important to them. And then there's, more competition than ever with jobs and what people are offering and what is available, and, having more ability to work from home than ever before. So I think that different opportunities have presented for individuals, and it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. So I think that that's going to continue to contribute to, the school board moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And do you plan to run for the board in March? That might be hard to answer now.
Yeah, I do plan to run for the board in March for one of the open seats.
Okay. And do you have sufficient time and energy to positively contribute to the Goffstown School Board?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
So that is all these questions. Dan, I know you had some questions.
Yes, I do. So,
Yes, go ahead.
if you look at the budget that we have put forward over the last number of years, do you think it's appropriate for Goffstown?
I don't have a lot to back that up. I don't think that there is something wrong with it. I was not extremely shocked and surprised. I will say that I do not have a lot of experience in that type of budget. So I think that, with that being said, I have always been somebody who is interested in how things work, how things are made up, and what contributes to that, and how to make improvements across the board. So my dedication to learn how to do it, to learn how it's made up, and what needs to happen in order to come to a conclusion is something that I am dedicated to doing.
So the follow-up question may be a little harder, which would be if there was anything in the budget that you would want to advocate for change, something that you would want to spend more on, or something that you would want to spend less on, or something of that nature. Do you have any?
I don't have something to spend less on. I was pretty shocked when moving to Goffstown that it's a half-day kindergarten. And so that is something that in the future I'm interested in seeing what needs to occur in order to achieve full-day kindergarten, which would affect the budget.
Thank you. That was mine.
That was it? Okay.
I actually have a follow-up question to one of the other questions that you answered. So you talked a lot about your experience on the job and working with families and working with the children. I mean, it's really great experience, but I don't think we do that on the board.
Correct.
We're not going to be working necessarily with the students or the teachers. So from that, and you alluded to it, but how does that play out on the board?
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that and bringing it up. I think that for 7 years, I worked directly with families and children. Since 2014, I don't really play that type of role anymore. But that has contributed to me being somebody who takes into consideration what is going on in various different perspectives. So it's not just what is directly in front of you, but you might need to go talk to somebody else and gather more information. So seeking out information from others and not just taking it for face value of what is in front of you. And also knowing that everybody's perception is their own reality. And so what is presented to you is information. However, I think that people have taught me there's more behind that, and to not judge somebody or a situation based on what has occurred, but look at everything entirely.
Great, that's helpful. And then another question, really unrelated to any of that, is from your perspective, what is the role and value of public education?
As somebody who went through public education, I think that it offers such a diverse experience, from the individuals you attend school with to the varying degrees of perspectives that you're going to get from public education, that it's a pretty I guess broad curriculum where it's not focused in one area in particular, as, more of a private sector would be. So I think that it offers something for students that are interested in just about anything, and that it's not going to pigeonhole you in one certain area. And so it gives people the ability to identify who they are, who they want to be, and allows them to have that platform essentially to feel comfortable because there's other individuals participating in that same arena that you have an interest in, or that you're able to feel comfortable with, a group of individuals who I think anybody can find in public school. But I think, too, that public school just offers individuals who are so motivated to be there, and I'm more referencing the staff, that they have such a passion of teaching, helping children, building their academic skills and their other skills too. And I don't think that you find that as much in a private sector, because obviously teachers are, in the public school setting are not in it for the money, and much like I'm not in social work for the money, but that's where you truly see individuals who are extremely passionate to be there for your children and help them.
You set? Yep. Anyone else? You want to, go ahead, Jared.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. We talked about sufficient time and energy for the school board. How much time do you think you would put in a month, or an average school board person would put in a month for the school board?
So I would consider actual meeting time to be about 9 hours a month. And then beyond that, I would indicate anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a week outside of there. Maybe more so for somebody who is new to the table, doesn't have as much experience, needs to look into something a bit more, study up on something a bit more, just become more familiar with the process or the information.
So I just want to follow up, because you said 6 to 8 hours a week.
Yes.
I get, okay, so
Yes.
you would be looking at how many hours a month, you think?
About 32 on average.
Thank you.
Yep. Are you testing my math skills?
No.
Is that the math portion?
Thank you, Jared. Anyone else? Any other questions? Dan?
I'm good.
You're good?
Thank you.
All right. Do you have any questions for us?
Nope, I don't believe so.
All right. Perfect. So I think we're set. You can go home. And
Great.
We'll talk to you after the next board meeting.
All right.
Thank you for coming tonight, Caroline.
Thank
It's
you, I
nice meeting
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Laura.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That's fine.
Right down at the end, just pick one of the seats with a mic and make yourself comfortable.
Maybe down one more.
Oh,
Just so we can
facing.
see you and you can see us. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
You said one of the mic. Like mics everywhere.
I will be more specific.
All right. Hi, Laura. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're going to ask you a few questions, and then each board member may have a couple questions, and
Sure.
then you can ask anything you'd like. So I just want to let you know that because we're down 2 board members tonight, we will not be able to deliberate after, but we
Right.
have a school board meeting scheduled April 4th. So after that, we'll deliberate and let you know the next day.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
All right. So why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Sure. So recently I've been wanting to get more involved, and I actually was planning on running next time around, but as it got closer to elections, and I kind of paid more close attention to what was going on in town, I felt like it was the time now to get involved. Sometimes you just got to take an opportunity when it's available. So then I ran for budget committee, and knowing that a write-in is a very low chance of, getting a seat. But then when this opened up, I thought, okay, this is the opportunity that I can serve. in something that I am passionate for and also have knowledge about. School board specifically, I've been involved within the schools since our youngest was at Maple Ave. And now that they're a bit older, the sort of daily in and out of the schools isn't the same as it was. So I figure on a larger scale with the knowledge that I've gotten, through the years, this would be a good place to start.
Perfect. And why do you think you would be a good fit for the board?
So I think I can be fairly objective. So when decisions have to be made as a group, very good at hearing other sides and seeing a big picture, because not everyone's going to agree all the time, and some of these decisions are going to be tough. But I do feel like I can really hear what everyone's saying and come to a conclusion that we're, satisfied with as a board by being a good listener.
Perfect, thank you. And this you answered a little bit of
Sure.
this, but what skills and experiences do you bring to the board?
Yeah. So I have a strong research background. As a librarian, I'm very into facts and figures, and I am able to sort of put those to use in a logical way. Let's see, I know there are a couple other things. Like I said, I'm a good listener. I'm willing to hear people out no matter what and have conversations with them. And I am familiar with the sort of board, overseeing board process for my own career, because we are run by a board of trustees, and even though it's very different in the day-to-day, it's still the same overseeing organization who puts their trust in the admin and the staff to carry out policy and procedure. And I'm comfortable with policy and procedure because that's so much of what I do for my job.
Okay, thank you. And what personal attributes make a school board member successful?
I feel like I sort of maybe said some of this, but
Yes, I know some of the
being a good
questions
listener,
kind
no,
of
that's okay, it all
cross
connects.
each other.
Being a good listener, being able to hear other sides of things and understand that people have points that are valid, and being open to understanding those. Viewing public education as a real asset and something that's very important. I wholly believe that public education is what makes, or a good public education is what makes a town or a city strong. Here in Goffstown, it's what brings a lot of families in because we have such a good reputation. So the ability to kind of uphold that and know what's already been set in place that's working and kind of continue on that way.
Right, thank you. And what do you think will be the biggest challenge the board will face this year?
Oh, that's a good question. I think public schools are being viewed in new ways that they haven't necessarily been viewed in the past. I think some trust needs to be given back to administrators and staff, and I think that might be the biggest thing we're facing kind of as a big picture issue, that we uphold, why we know this is important as an institution and in the town, and not let it be sort of undermined in a way that, at least in my world of knowledge of school, hasn't quite happened in the recent past. Yeah.
And do you plan to run for the board in March?
So I think really, well, the answer is yes. Yes, I'd like to run for either school or budget in March. It kind of depends how the next year shakes out. That'll more inform my decision, I think,
Right.
as to which one.
All right. And do you have the sufficient time and energy to positively contribute to the Goffstown School Board?
I do, yeah. Like I said, now that our girls are older, there's less of the day-to-day driving around, and I'm ready to prioritize something that's good for the bigger picture in town. Yeah.
Thank you. So that is all the questions. But board members have questions. Dan, go ahead.
In our budgets that we have presented to the Budget Committee over the last several years, do you think they're appropriate?
I do, actually. I feel like we work with a tight budget, and I feel like we're educating our kids with spending less per student than some of the surrounding towns is huge. I feel like we keep it tight, and so far I haven't had any huge points of disagreement with anything that has been put forward while my kids have been in school and while I've been paying attention.
Well, as that, where you don't have, is there anything in the budget then you would advocate for change? More, less?
Sure. I think there are a couple things. So the one thing that I find with the budget, at least as a general sort of parent thing, is I know all that information's available to parents, but there's sometimes a gap, and this is true, I suppose, for any budget. There's sometimes a gap between getting that information and understanding it as any family. And I think what we might be able to make as a goal is to, I know we're getting the information out there, but getting it out there in a more understandable way, so when it does come time to vote on the budget or things having to do with it, more parents, more families, and just more people in town feel like they have a better grasp on actually what they're voting for and what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Brandon?
Yeah, you alluded a little bit to public education. I was wondering from your perspective,
Yeah.
what is the value and role of public education? You spoke to it a little bit.
Yeah.
If you can speak
Elaborate a little bit, sure. So yeah, like I said, it tends to be a great draw to the town, which of course is good for many reasons. But it's huge because, so say in a town like Goffstown, where there's quite a wide range of, I guess, income, demographic in that way, kids with differing abilities, the public school is one place that really, it's a right for every child, right, the right to education, and it's the one place where you can guarantee that any kid, no matter who they come from, no matter their family background, has the opportunity to learn and to grow. I hope that answered a little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have any other? You good? All right. Jared?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on your kids growing up and getting that energy back.
Yes,
I know
thank
that she
you.
and myself are looking forward to those days. when we
Yeah.
do that.
But then you'll be like, oh.
Looking at the effort it takes to be on the school board, what would you think, or what would you say the average amount of hours a school board individual actually contributes to the work?
Well, I imagine it is hours much outside of just the meetings. And I think it would depend a little bit on what was happening at the moment. I think there are probably some times of year or sometimes that there aren't as many urgencies happening, so it would be fewer hours. But honestly, I can say I feel like it's just more than you'd initially think, because it's not just coming to meetings. It's investment, it's continued learning about the school system, about, problems or issues coming up in public education in general. So maybe it's as much as you are willing to put in.
Can I follow up?
Sure.
Just to be, how much time do you think you would be actually giving it?
Sure. I didn't know if you wanted to talk specifically or if in general you just wanted to. This is something I'd be able to dedicate quite a bit of time to. I'm ready to do it and I'm ready to prioritize it. Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? All right. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't. I took a bit of a look at the New Hampshire School Board Association website because I figured if I could answer some questions ahead of time. And they laid some things out pretty well. And then I think just with your questions, it kind of answered anything I was thinking about. Yeah,
All right,
so I'm
perfect.
good.
All
Thank
right,
you.
well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you very
And
much.
we'll be in contact after the next board meeting.
Great.
So, thank you. It was nice meeting you.
Thanks,
Have a good
you
night.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a whole different level of.
I'm sorry.
Of stress.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, no.
Don't kill it.
Don't ruin it. I'm looking forward to this. Don't shatter the dream, brother.
Bring down at the end, one of the two facing towards the table, if you would, please.
Evening.
Hi, good evening, Michael. Michael, right?
Michael is good, yes.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure if it was Michelle or.
It's originally it's Michał, but Michael is good enough. It's
Okay,
all
I
good.
just don't want to say your name wrong. I'm
No,
not
it's
going
good.
to try your last name, though.
Szczepaniak.
Right, okay, Shapani. It's, okay, I got that. So welcome. We have a few questions for you. I do want to let you know that since we are down 2 board members, we will not be able to deliberate tonight, but at our next scheduled board meeting on April 4th, we will, and then we'll be in contact with you the next
Okay.
day. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, so first question is, why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Okay, so a little history. Well,
Yeah,
not much though.
absolutely.
So it kind of started when COVID started. I started paying more attention to the response of the COVID and all these situations, and I became interested in how the policy works. And obviously, not saying that the response was bad or right or anything like that, but I became interested in how things are working and what the school board is for and how they set up policies. And I started paying more attention of what is being taught in schools and with all the either in our schools and also on the trends on the local or more wide country level. And then I started becoming more involved, started looking into some more information, and became more interested in getting more involved. I participated in a couple of public statements here at the board, and then I decided to run for the board in the most recent elections. And even though I wasn't elected, I believe I received a significant support, which exceeded my expectations. With someone that's running for the first time and with really not recognized in the community, it was a great experience. And I felt obligated to apply for the vacating position because of I just ran, so it felt natural, and to provide. I felt like it was I owe it to people that voted for me. So that's why I was running, and then that's part of the historical situation. And what else? It's like what I stand for, in like why am I running, what I would like to bring to the board is I think that while paying more attention to everything, I felt that the voices of parents that have kids currently in school, are underrepresented, and I would like to be that voice for those parents on the board. I would like to offer parents as many choices within reason, obviously, as possible to decide what's best for what is best for the interests of their children and their families. I would like to make sure that the board and the administration focuses on providing the best possible education for our kids, and that's the main focus, obviously within a reasonable budget and financial aspects. And like I said about the ideologies, I would also like to make sure that no controversial or dangerous ideologies are taught in schools or are part of the curriculum in our schools. So that's the historical and kind of what I stand for.
Perfect,
position.
thank you. And why do you think you would be a good fit for the board?
So, like I said, I would like to provide the perspective of a parent from my, professional experience, or not really professional, but I served as a board of director of a condo association, which is not a huge experience, but at least it's something. So I know some of the basic procedures and things like that, how things work, from setting up budgets. And obviously, it's not the same scale and it's not the same problems, but at least it's something. And I found it pretty interesting and informative, and I felt that I contributed to the community at that time. From professional perspective, as you may have seen on my resume, I am a principal software developer, but I held some management positions as well. So I dealt with different people, different points of views, and I had to mitigate a lot of situations on a technical or professional level, as well as some personality stuff. So I feel that experience and being able and open to different ideas and a dialogue will help on the board as well, in a civil matter, obviously, and basically I just I want to get more involved and be part of the community and provide services to as much extent as possible from the school board perspective and my own experience.
Thank you. And what skills and experiences would you bring to the board?
So kind of like I said,
Right,
it's
some
the
of these kind of cross over each other.
yeah. So with the being in the software industry or being an engineer, most of the time I have to deal with a lot of situations, but I try to stick to the facts and logic and reason, and take the emotions away or put it on the side and not let it guide my judgment or my decision making. A lot of times when I'm talking about the very details, but I think that's relevant. Even though something like engineering, it's relatively strict, but there is a lot of architecting and a lot of discussion involved, and a lot of brainstorming, a lot of bringing different ideas and finding best solutions possible. And I think that skill is important in a group of people that may have different points of view, and then finding the best solution. And what I've learned, and even though I may have very specific position at the beginning of discussion, I'm always open to hear feedback and other ideas, and I know for a fact that we, as collaboratively, we can always come up with even better solution than I thought original, or everybody coming to the table has their idea of how things should work or may work, and together we can always come up with best solution that will fit many more scenarios and outcomes that we thought originally. So working together, working in a group, even though I may not agree with some points of views or initial approach, I think that is a good skill to bring to the board.
Perfect, thank you. What do you think will be the biggest challenge the board will face this year?
Well, couple of things. There's some remnants of COVID, obviously, so that's that on the table, and as always, I think that then coming back to normal, hopefully, but who knows what happens. So that uncertainty is still there. Then budget has been just approved, but it's always a yearly thing. So that's the thing. That will be a challenging thing, especially with the inflation going on and many other economical aspects. I know from experience of my work that the labor market is also hot in a way that it's hard to find candidates. So I'm expecting that to be a case for teachers as well, or finding substitute teachers, or even maybe teachers. So staffing might be an issue, as we are facing this in the private market as well. I think that'll be the most things that come to mind at this moment.
Right, thank you. And do you plan to run for the board in March?
Oh, yes.
And do you have sufficient time and energy to positively contribute to the Goffstown School Board?
Yes, I wouldn't apply if I couldn't dedicate my time to the board if elected or selected. Yes, I work from home. I don't have commitments, too many commitments outside of work. I'm not on call to be called for work on unexpected basis. So I can be fully committed.
Perfect. So that's all my questions from the board. So I'll call on some board members who have questions for you. So Dan, go ahead.
So we've had budgets over the last several years that we presented to the budget committee, who presented to the people. Do you think they've been appropriate?
So about budget, couple things come to mind. To answer your question, I think they've been appropriate, but my position would be to always review the budget and every single item, every single time, and evaluate it as nothing comes granted, and every position on the budget should be reviewed carefully every single time it comes for approval or for recommendation.
So as a follow-up, are there anything that you would advocate for a change? Something that you would want to increase and other things you may want to decrease?
For increasing, I think, and I'm not sure if that's that level of appropriation is at the budget committee or subcommittee, but I would like to make sure that students that have individual needs, whether it's to catch them up with the average or rest, have enough resources and have proper resources to basically help them out, and also to provide some programs or have allocation on the budget to provide for best performers to basically have them be the guide for other students, which will hopefully pay off in the future and guiding others. But I'm not sure if that's to that level is specific in the budget committee.
Thank you.
From removing, like I said, I would have to review every single item on a very detailed basis and see if cuts can be made on a very specific basis.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, Retta?
Yeah, from your perspective, what is the role and value of public education?
Well, the value, it's to provide education to kids and to help them succeed in life after school, and it's, in my opinion, it's not to replace parents, but it's to supplement, or we as parents, we basically give the education piece to the professionals, and that's where the focus should be, in providing best education, meaning getting them ready to life in terms of getting skills that are helpful in life and in labor market.
Thank you, Retta. Jared?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How, looking at the time that you have to, if you are selected to represent the board or to be on the board, how much time per month do you think an average board member spends doing school board stuff?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's much more than just the meetings. So if you are asking for a specific number, then let's say, so the meetings is every 2 weeks, but there's also subcommittee meetings. I'd say, obviously I'm guessing because I don't know all the details, but it's 40 to 80 hours a month. And obviously, there's an individual time on reviewing policies and stuff like that. So I think it's much more than what it looks on the surface from the public.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Anyone else have questions? Go ahead, Shane.
Thank you. To be fully transparent, I didn't ask the other applicants this question because they didn't mention it, but you mentioned divisive ideologies in our curriculum. Could you just identify what you would consider divisive ideologies?
Sure. So anything that has to do with racially or racially based, anything that is racist, basically. So, and also, like I mentioned during my campaign, and promoting anything that's racist, whether it being discriminating against based on race or assuming any race-based privileges. And another one is promoting or glorifying Marxist or socialist ideologies or fascist ideologies. And I have personal experience with that, so well, that's maybe for another day, or unless you want to know.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And just to clarify, and I mean by promoting, meaning not teaching about it, but promoting it, meaning that presenting it as something that is positive.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. I mean, I know how the process works, so it's you explained it in the beginning. And maybe one question, like,
Sure.
I would give back the question that you asked me. What is the actual time that the average school board member dedicates a month, let's say in a month?
I think it varies based on the different subcommittees that we're on. You know, if I add up the work that I do versus Shane does, it's of course going to be different because we bring different things together to the board.
Yeah, but on average.
But if I looked at things that I did this past year, you know, we had our meetings that sometimes ran until 11:30 at night. That started at 7. Like you said, twice a month that we're doing that. I was the budget committee rep, so especially in the month of, as you say, Dan, in September, October, November, and probably December for me, I'm probably putting in an extra 20 hours a month in for that. You know, I was also on the subcommittee for looking at our new principal at the middle school. That was an additional probably, you know, I'd say 8 hours for a particular month. So it could range based on the month. But I'd say that on average, we're putting in probably somewhere from 20 to 45 hours a month based on our different work that we do. So I don't think that there's a right answer on it. Really, from my point of view, it's, you know, are we really fully ensure that you know the commitment it takes and ensuring that you have that passion to do that. Because, if I may expand a little bit, Ms. Chair.
Go ahead.
This is something new. The past 2 years, we've lost 2 school board members that have retired early because of commitment items that have occurred. One of them was brand new. They just got elected. I think they were here for a few months and they had to resign. And that was unusual for us. So having to do this so quickly together, I just want to make sure that people understand the actual commitment that we need. That's why I asked that question.
Yep, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know because I know that, like I said, I know that there's a lot behind the scenes than just on, you know, what's available to the public too. So, all right, thank you.
That was just my answer. I'm sure everybody else has others.
I think you wrapped
You
that
forgot
up.
stuff too. You forgot about, think about
The teachers
negotiations.
negotiations.
Yeah, the negotiations is hours and
That was
hours and hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's fun.
So, all right, do you have any other questions? Are you good?
I think I'm good, thank you.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for coming. It was nice meeting you again, and we will be in contact with you after the next board meeting.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good
Good night.
night.
Don't forget your
Oh, your coat, yeah. It's a little chilly out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, this past year was brutal. The time.
Last 2 years.
Yeah, there's a wide range. It really is. I mean, I know Heather puts in a lot of time outside of the work that we do, so.
Right. Well, I think it's a lot for everybody, and I think it definitely needs to be made very clear that it's not just us sitting here twice a month for meetings, because there's stuff outside, off camera, all the subcommittees, the non-public.
It's usually
the
more
reading.
time than meeting time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
you know,
mean,
preparing
we-
for meetings.
Well, we get the emails.
Yep.
I got to look through all the emails. We read through them, we prepare, ask Mrs. Moore some questions or more material
Right.
before. Do you have this too? And she finds it for us. So,
Yeah, and budget time is huge, because we're here a lot. And then anybody on budget.
and then Jared takes it
committee-
aside.
Yeah, because then you're here with us.
That's a lot of
You're
work.
here-
Not double it,
Budget.
triple it,
Right.
because not only are we doing ours again, but then we got the towns.
Right,
It is
exactly.
a lot.
Exactly.
I did that for 9 years.
I know, that's why I looked right at you and said, what do you think about that, Dan?
And I spent more time than that because I did all the analysis, just like I still want to do the analysis on HB
70.
1070.
Right,
So I think that it's still haunting me because I haven't been able to get there yet.
right.
So,
So, since Ellen and Ginny are not here tonight, then we're going to have you guys keep your resumes, but they are confidential, so please have them hidden from family and friends. Bring them back April 4th. After our board meeting, we'll go into non-public, and then we'll be able to deliberate. Ginny and Ellen will be able to watch tonight's interview, so they'll be on top of everything that's happening. So, there was one other thing. Did you want to talk about?
public or non-public?
No, public, about
The vice chair.
the vice chair stuff.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah, what did we do wrong?
wasn't quite with you for there. I just, given the circumstance of where we find ourselves, with a 4-4 split, I just think that our new board member, I think that they're walking into a very difficult, I think we should think about that. I think that for you all to select someone to serve in that role and then to ask them to break that 4-4 tie doesn't feel like it's in kind of the spirit of how this board has operated. So I would just encourage us to maybe give that some thought.
Did you bring the dice? No, I'm deadly serious.
Well,
In fact, if I
I
can
mean, I
ask the
jokingly did one of these
Yeah, I
while
said
you
we
were
should do a
debating.
coin toss, but Retta and I were thinking the same thing, and then Retta brought it to Brian's
Yeah, no.
attention. You know, a brand-new person, we don't know
That's
who we're
right,
appointing.
they would be selecting the vice chair.
Yes.
Oh, boy, that,
You
you're
know,
right.
I think that puts them in an awkward position. We thought
kind of
it
unfair.
would, so we wanted to talk and see if on Monday, April 4th, everybody thought about it, and then we do another vote and see if anything changed, or we do a coin toss, right? Or pick a name out of the hat, or I don't know, what is everybody's
I will
thought?
inquire of the Secretary of State
Mhm.
to find out how they have done it, and I will send out a suggestion about how they do it.
Okay.
It's very rare, but it has happened before, where after a recount, it is the same number. They are tied, so
How
there
do you do
is a
that?
method that is.
I think it was, it might have been in Louisiana, but I believe they resorted to rock, paper, scissors. So,
That would be
That's
fun.
good.
that would be another, nothing on that, Mr. Cloutier?
Well,
All right,
there's
I
a
tried.
Star Trek one that's rock, paper, scissors, something Spock, but I don't remember all of it.
So my opinion on it would be that as long as the two nominees are okay with some kind of random drawing,
Right.
then I'd be okay with that.
Right, that's true too. That's
Yeah.
why we figured we'd bring it tonight and just put it out there, what everybody's thoughts were. Because our policy really doesn't cover this.
And should we look at the policy?
Yeah, well, we did a little bit on Monday, so it's not very clear.
As far as making it more clear.
Yeah,
Right.
yes,
Might be worth revisiting.
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
we were down one person.
Right.
So
Right.
that wasn't,
Right, it's
probably
true.
wouldn't have been the case unless somebody was out.
Yep.
Right,
I'm also okay with that. I mean, the board was split.
mhm,
Even if we brought in the new person, it's just as much of a chance as flipping a coin.
true.
About, I don't know, I was about to say a contest, bowling for something.
Just so you know, I do, well, I'm not a good player,
Oh,
but
no, whatever, yeah,
I
but
thought you were gonna say you're a championship
Championship bowler.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is a secret bowler.
No, I'm just thinking, like, what could we kind of put out there to just get engagement from the community, kind of thing.
I would just say, as sort of the outsider here, not as an elected member to the board, you guys work really well together. And to see a circumstance, and by the way, the vice chair role is largely symbolic. It's not, Mrs. Trepaz always shows up. It's not like you've got to worry that, all of a sudden, where's Heather? We don't know where Heather is. So, this is largely a symbolic role. It's just kind of on the off chance that Heather's not able to attend a meeting. I just don't think it's worth you guys being divided over. It's not anything of consequence. It's really not.
I agree.
And to echo what you said with the chair position, if I'm not the chair, we still have plenty of work to do. It doesn't have to be very much, so.
Okay. So we'll come back to it on April 4th.
I will not bowl, though.
That's fine. I was just kind of
I
trying to
thought
be
he was going to
funny
go
there for
like
a moment.
archery, which, I don't know, it might not be in your favor either.
All right, so we'll bring it back because we still don't have Ginny and Ellen, so we don't know
Right.
what their thoughts are.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so is there any other business that may legally come before the meeting? No, and we don't have non-public because we're not deliberating tonight. There's nothing else,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
All right.
Just a reminder that A&F will be meeting at 6:30 on April 4th, and Mrs. Moran is putting out the necessary
You guys at
public
6:30?
announcement. It's going to be 6:30, not 6 o'clock, because we're going to start with a half an hour, I
Okay.
believe, right?
Yeah, that's fine,
Yeah,
because I
and
know
to
we
see
were
if
doing
we
an
can
hour.
get Scott to, let's see if we can't get it done in half an hour.
You may need to have some fluff time in there.
6:25, I'll get here early, we can do the chit-chat before the
Okay.
official meeting starts, so
All
we
right.
won't talk about business.
And I know right now, until everybody gets the committee stuff and we finalize all that later, you and I are on it.
Yep.
Do we need Jared to be there? I know he's the alternate
We don't have
right
to,
now,
only if he
but
wants to get there
I
early, but
think
I
that we're
think
good.
we can get
Okay.
through it.
So that's completely up to you.
Okay. So
Totally
I'd
up to
say
you.
it's the first meeting that we've had in, 18 months, 24 months,
The
so.
last one we had was
Yeah.
March of 2019.
Yep.
And for the subcommittees, for nominating a chairperson, we don't need a second on that. That's just a nomination.
Yeah.
Because if that was a nomination
We
second.
may not, I don't know if you want to organize on the 4th, because this committee assignments haven't
Hasn't
been
been
voted
done
on,
yet.
so we're not going
So
to
I think
organize
we
on the
just
4th.
keep what
Okay.
it
We're going to have
was.
to wait till the next one.
Yeah, I think we keep what it was,
Right.
so.
I'll be there regardless, so.
Okay.
Okay.
In case if you two don't agree on something,
Right.
Ooh,
I'll be
that's,
there.
yeah, absolutely. I
Doesn't
think it's
happen very
great.
often.
That's
And
a-
policy will meet on Monday still?
Policy's
5:30?
meeting on Monday at 5:30, so until we get everything finalized with the committees, we're gonna have them as they are right now.
Perfect.
So, and if you want to email them to me, that's fine, or if you have them tonight, that's fine too. All right, so I'll take
Motion
a
to adjourn?
motion to adjourn by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Jared, and, all those in favor, say aye.
Actually, it was Dan who said
Aye.
it, but, okay.
Oh, I thought Jared did.
Did you say it?
Yeah, I heard his.
See, I'm
I
deaf.
know.
I didn't get it loud enough. I'm sorry. I will go louder next time.
All right, so Shane made the motion, Jared seconded, and we're unanimous. All right, thank you guys for coming
Aye.
out
Thank
tonight.
you.
Appreciate it.